Okay, welcome to episode 17 of the Aim High and Achieve podcast. I'm just going to crack a beer because it's Friday night and that's the law in this house. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Ramn Erstad. Ram, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for inviting me, Stephen.
Yes.
And thanks for letting me drink beer as well.
Yeah, it's Friday. We're continuing with the ultra running theme today because since the Simon Holvik podcast and Anna Simona, it's just a natural way to go. I'm a bit more involved in that kind of group of people now in Norway, so I'm getting to know a lot of different people, but obviously we live close by, we're good friends, we've run together, trained together, but you're somebody that when I first met you, I didn't know you were a runner. We met through rugby, but as I've got to know you and you're running and you're training, you've kind of inspired me as a runner to look at things a little bit differently. So where did running start for you? Let's go to the beginning.
I guess it was first year of high school.
Okay.
First of all, my oldest brother was kind of a football player and also a big runner. And I decided I needed to, and also that was when I started looking at girls.
Okay.
And then all the girls were running. So then I decided, okay, I need to start running.
So basically, yeah, that makes sense. That's what happens with most guys in the teens. Yeah, it's because of girls, basically. So where you are today, yeah, is because of that.
Probably.
Yeah, but I mean, it's interesting because I played football when I was in my teens, and I used to hate running. And in my 40s now, it's a strange thing that it's almost like meditating for me now. I'm a one-speed gearbox. I do intervals now and then, but I'm a one-speed gearbox. But I know your running is, you're not a one-speed gearbox. I would probably go as far as saying you have the potential probably, and currently probably one of the best ultra runners in the country, whether you want to think it or not. But when you get into sort of the mindset of running, do you love it or is it just necessary?
Bit of both. First 5 kilometers, that's kind of a necessity. And then when you kind of forget about the kilometers and just have the feeling of taking another step, or you want to get up that hill, then it sort of goes naturally, and then you don't think about it anymore.
Yeah. So obviously, I'm calling you out as one of the best ultra runners in Norway, and I'm confident saying that. So it's been recent, so let's go right into your last race in the appropriately named Hell. So for those not in Norway, there is an actual place called Hell. So you won the race. I don't want to talk about it. I want you to talk about it and tell me, you've ran it a few times and blah, 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 but I want you to tell me about this year, this race, how it went down. Yeah.
It was actually the second time I did that race. And it's a
24-hour race.
Yes, it's hard to explain it because each part is I would say the first 2 hours, since you're doing it at your comfort zone, it's not an issue. But then you notice that when you're, because the day is perhaps 20 hours, 21 hours. So you have, the sun is perhaps down for 4 hours. So you're in the sun it's probably 20 degrees in the shade for the first day. So you get like 20 degrees isn't a lot when you think about it. When you're going to the beach, you would think twice before going to the beach at 20 degrees.
Yeah.
But
so it's basically a 24-hour race. It's what's the loop? Is it a one point something K loop?
Yeah, 1.2K.
1.2K loop, 24-hour race. It's effectively the longest distance within 24 hours wins that race. So you are training to put your body through 24 hours of constant running, which a lot of people might just think is crazy. How do you even think about doing that? You won the race. How many kilometers? 218?
214 point something.
214. So 214 kilometers. You're doing about what, 6 minute 30 kilometers
6
average?
minutes 40.
Okay. So what strikes me, or what intrigues me with yourself, is there's no social media fanfare, there's no bullshit. You just go and run the race, you win the race, you come home, you go back to work. So just in that race, talk to me about you. I want to know about your mentality in that race. How do you prepare? Do you think about it? How do you train for it? You know, what's going through your mind when you come to have to know that you're going to run for 24 hours non-stop?
First of all, the reason why I don't do the social media thing is I'm not comfortable with it, and I'm doing it for my own sake. I'm not doing it for
for likes. Yeah, I totally understand that. Yeah.
But to prepare for it, I don't really. Of course, I think through it, and I know the stages I'm going through, but I have never figured out a way to prepare for a long distance.
No.
Just know that you have these limits that, okay, I've been here, I know I can go further. This was what I experienced last year. Okay, what can I do to mitigate it? But I don't have a mental plan or any. Like, you just have to go with what happens. And
this is really intriguing for me, because myself, you almost, I want to say you sound German. If you understand me, you're very methodical machinery. This is what is required to do this. Whereas the English are not German. The English, I would call it like we raw dog it. You know, we just find a way to do it. We probably drink beer the day before. We probably party before we should. We don't eat the right things. I'm speaking for myself here. You know, I just think, right, I'll get through it somehow. But you seem to be more militaristic in terms of like, okay, I need to do X, Y, Z, and this will be the outcome. Is that right? It's
kind of, I do it, in a disciplined way. I would agree to that.
Yeah. So, same with your training runs?
It's like, I basically plan everything that, okay, I'm going to do this. Yeah. I'm going to do this, done, and done. Like, then just move everything else and see, or find a room.
I mean, this is one thing I love about you, is that, like you said about the social media, I almost feel like I want to be a champion for what you do, because you seem so humble and like you don't want the attention from what you do. I feel like I want to be a champion for you, hence, you know, come on the podcast, talk. I'm obviously not going to push you to where you're uncomfortable or, you know, that kind of thing. But I almost feel like you're a gold mine of what you've achieved, but nobody knows about it, if you understand me.
Yeah.
Is that kind of how you want it to stay? Or is there a little bit in you where you think,
of course,
I'd like a bit of, you know...
Of course, sometimes I think, okay, fame would be nice, or free shoes.
Yeah, free shoes or some merch. Yeah.
But at the same time, like even this race in Hell where I got over 200 kilometers, I know that there are people in Norway that can do 250. So then
But they didn't.
They didn't, not that day.
They didn't do it that day. That's the difference. I know people who could be X, Y, and Z, but they're not. You know, you've got to win it on the day. That's what is the most important thing. And I understand where you're coming from there. It's like me. I mean, I run a 10k an hour. So it's, you know, slow AF as everybody says. But I don't care. I don't want to do it any faster. It's what I'm doing it for is me. So if I had that mentality, but it would be almost like, well, what's the point of me running a 10k park run type of thing? You know, you do it for yourself, which I think is the most important thing. The most important thing is, like you say, you're doing it for yourself. You're not doing it for, you know, likes and bullshit TikTok crap and all this nonsense. You know, one great thing is a few months ago, I woke up at 4 o'clock or something. I never go out early before work. I sleep in to the last minute. One morning, 4 a.m. I got to tell this. It was about 4 a.m. I couldn't sleep. I thought, sod it, I'm going to go for a little run round the lake that we live by. So I'm running 5 a.m. probably, and who do I see running around the lake? You, just like, and then you don't even like say, hey Steve, bloody hell, what are you doing here? You just go, nod, like it's totally normal. Like seeing me is the most normal thing ever, because you are so used to the discipline of getting up early. And I didn't know you get up early because you don't show your Strava or anything, because it's like, no. So I was like, what's his bloody out? And it was I ran. You probably just continued what you were doing, but I ran away like, yes, this is brilliant, because you're out there without telling anybody, you know.
Yeah, that's no, I think I was in the middle of an interval, so I just said, okay, Steven is just there with his dog. He needs to...
Yeah.
And I know his dog is kind of crazy, so I don't want to stop, and she jumps at me.
But is that a part of the discipline, being up early, and, you know, is that something you've done for a long time, for example?
I've kind of always done it. I do it less now because I have more time in the afternoon. But it's sort of sometimes it's easier to get it done in the morning. And
Well, just talk about that. Talk about an average. If you're coming up, talk about your training coming up to Hell. How did you kind of approach the sort of not the couple of weeks before, but the sort of the months before when you were preparing for Hell? What did a sort of training week look like?
The training week for Hell wasn't much different from any other training week the rest of the year. Of course, I probably increase the distance, but I don't do incredible distances, or it depends on who you ask, but I don't do more than 30k.
130k?
130 to 140k a week. But a single run is usually not longer than 30.
Yeah.
And that's once a week.
But that distance is in the top 1% of people on Earth. Has to be. It has got to be in the top 0.1%, surely.
Yeah, probably. So, but most of my runs are 15k.
15, okay.
So you can do it in 1.5 hours.
Yeah.
So you've.
And is there a reason it's 15k, or is that just how it feels for you? You like that distance?
It's a comfortable distance for me. It's.
I think the thing with 15k is you can run that and not be too fatigued after, if you're used to running.
Yeah.
Basically.
I don't know. I just really like that distance. It's just perfect that you. Because once you pass 20, then you feel it the next day.
Okay. And what sort of... I mean, I know you obviously, we spoke before, and you know, we're quite similar in dietary habits, but are you bothered about what you eat? How are you fueling this sort of 130k a week? Do you do anything out of the ordinary? Any tips?
No, mostly I eat anything. I eat a lot of vegetables for lunch and dinner, but there's no specific diet. I eat bread, pasta, potatoes, rice, meat, fish.
Yeah.
A lot of fat. Like anything that just fuels.
Yeah. I think that's quite an underrated, or not underrated, but how do you say? It's a bit of a fallacy in that fat is bad. You know, I've come from my research. What I've learned is certain fats are very good for training. Avocados type fats.
And natural fats.
Natural fats, yeah. Because it's sort of something where people sort of don't understand that you have to, if you want a really active lifestyle, you have to fuel it. You know, and sometimes it can be a bit of a fallacy if you're to eat less to lose weight. Actually, sometimes you need to eat more to fuel more movement, to then metabolize more, you know, metabolize faster and get your metabolism working over time, you know.
I've not said it to that many people, but I have an eating break of about 12 hours a day. So that's another reason.
A fast.
Yeah, basically. So that's another reason for me to consume fat.
Okay. So when will you fast then?
Usually from bedtime to lunch.
Okay.
I can do any. I can also skip a late dinner and then have breakfast, but I just need.
Daily. So you will fast basically for 12 hours daily.
Basically.
Okay. Come to think of it, I probably do actually without knowing, because I will probably eat 7 or 8 p.m. in the night, and then I won't eat till 10 a.m. the next day, maybe 11. So I'm probably the same without really thinking that I'm doing that. But I listened to a podcast the other day about fasting, and it was actually from an unverified source. It wasn't she wasn't a doctor, but she was talking about ketosis and ketones and the function of the liver. And I think that's something a bit that we don't think about as endurance athletes, is the function of the liver. We're always thinking about the function of the stomach and the blood and carbohydrates and glucose into the blood and everything, but I think I need to look a bit more into it and start to try and understand a bit more the function of the liver. My liver's probably not in the best condition it could be in.
I think if you read about your liver, I think you would see it has recovered.
Yeah.
It's probably the best organ.
The liver's the most important organ, as far as I'm from my small research, because it's basically turning what you consume into fuel. But anyway, yeah. So hell, what was the next? What was second place in hell? So you were 214k, and the
next one was 200 or 203.
Okay, not massively behind.
No, so. Because in my head you have this feeling, okay, because I was in the lead from the 8 hour,
okay,
and then I had actually, because I never realized what the runner's high is, but I kind of realized after 8 hours, okay, I'm on a runner's high now,
okay,
and I was feeling, okay, I'm gonna win this shit.
Is that like an adrenaline?
Yeah, it's like an adrenaline. You get in an extremely happy mood.
Okay. After 8 hours, roughly.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very strange, because I was like...
I think Simon Holvik spoke about this. He said he went into sort of like a trance. Like he almost felt like he was in not hallucinating. I don't want to get it wrong. He kind of said he was in a meditative state, and he was like euphoric after so long. Yeah,
euphoric. That's the word. But it also feels like you're drunk, like not like drunk unbalanced, but happy drunk.
Do you think that's physiologically something to do with your energy systems moving away from blood glucose to fat?
I think it might have been that I've done the switch, but also, I'm not.
We're not doctors, so fact check everything we're saying. But I've heard that once you burn your glucose, then you're going into burning the energy system of your fat stores. Once you get over the bonk of it, then it becomes like this.
Yeah, but also it's a sort of a feeling in the brain that you know, when you're usually thinking and talking, you have this filter.
Yeah.
And somehow that when your body realizes, okay, it needs to keep going, I need to save some energy, it probably says, okay, let's turn off the filter.
Yeah, that could be a good point. Yeah.
And then you get this feeling that you're drunk.
Wow. So you were whooping at 8 hours,
Yeah.
But then I'm guessing, bang, it hits you.
Probably after 2 hours, I realized, I'm leading by I'm 1 kilometer ahead of the next guy.
Okay.
And I have 14 hours to go. I'm not even halfway.
The race doesn't even start really till the 20th hour, does it?
No.
If you think about it, and when I look at things, I mean, we're two different ends of the spectrum, but when I look at ultra running and the ultra running that I've done, I didn't do it. I didn't have this mindset when I ran the last race, but when I run the next race, the race doesn't even start until you're 80% in. Forget the first 80%. If you're doing a 100-mile race, forget the first 80 miles. The race starts at 80 miles, I think, when you've been in the pain cave God knows how many times, and you keep going in, come out, go in, come out, and then your last 20 miles, for example, in that distance, is when the race starts. That's basically when you've got it.
Yeah, because then you're on your way out again.
Yeah.
You know that you're at the turning point.
So 20 hours, how are you feeling there? If you remember.
I have it written down somewhere, but I was sick and tired by that point. I knew that, because I knew I had this probably 13 kilometers lead. I knew that if I just kept on going, I could win. But I also knew that I couldn't stop, because a lot of people can pass me in 4 hours. It's even if you just walk, you can do 20 kilometers. But
was it mental or physical? How did the two just merge? Were you just fucked everywhere?
They kind of merge.
Yeah.
Like because I got I sweated too much, so I lost too much salt at some point, and then you get a terrible headache.
Yeah.
And then you start thinking it's everything else that's because once your head starts hurting, it's way worse than knees or thighs or anything else.
Yeah, because your head is the main thing. I think if you can keep control of above your shoulders, everything else you can kind of scratch along with blisters and.
Yeah, because blisters pass, and at some point they break as well.
Yeah,
and then it's just a great relief.
Yeah, the IT band is one that I think is a race killer. If that I know I have problems with my IT bands, and they're my big worry in these long races. That if I get an IT band issue, then Yeah, that for me is my main worry. Probably takes my mind off. But your race, your specialisation, let's say, is these kind of like backyard ultras where you're looping round in 24 hours, or it's a backyard ultra. I'm more geared to trail races, which are way slower. You're walking, you're hiking. You can easily take your salt and magnesium and potassium every hour. You can have jiffy bags made ready. You almost, it suits me because it's like slow man's game, you know. Your races are almost like a perpetual you can't stop because there's other guys that are up your ass ready to like take over you, you know. It's
you feel like you always feel like you have somebody on your back.
It's a different ball game. The races that I would say you specialise in. I'd like to see you do a long trail run. We've run trail runs together, and I think you would do really well. Is that something you're interested in?
Yeah, I did 75k last year.
Okay. Talk about it. Which one? Where was it?
In Jotunheimen.
In
Norway.
Yeah.
In the middle of
Hardangervidda.
Yeah. Not Hardangervidda.
No,
it's further inland.
Yeah, up near Galdhøpiggen and
that place.
Okay.
It started well, the first half, and then I realized that I hadn't done any restituted anything before the race. I really didn't have the energy reserves.
Okay.
So then it just became for 30 kilometers kind of just grinding through it.
Yeah. Do you learn from that? Do you go home and sort of look at it and remember next time, make notes, look where you can learn from those kind of experiences?
I do. I'm not that big of fun. I feel like you're better at planning races, nutrition-wise and sleep-wise and energy-wise. But it's I think from that race I learned that I need to plan my nutrition better.
I found the thing with nutrition and trail, let's say trail ultra running, I found I had a great plan. I had my bags made out, sodium, blah blah blah. I had everything ready in 1 hour bags, and I think I had them in 10k bags. I had everything ready, everything planned out. I'd spent not an exhaustive time planning it, but I'd done an hour or two. I'd made a plan. Everybody has a plan until they get fucking smacked in the nose, and then when you go into a race and you get fucking smacked in the nose, you lose the key is that you don't lose that plan no matter how shit things have gone. So with me, mine was 80 odd kilometre. After 56 kilometres, everything went to shit. So I just fucked off everything because I couldn't eat anything. I didn't want to drink. So for me, the plan worked for 2/3 of what I needed it to. So to get better, I've got to work out how I mentally don't let that after 2/3 go to shit type of thing, you know?
Yeah.
Is that something you've had? Do you have a plan like that and then it's gone to shit? And for example, in your 24-hour race in hell, when you got the head problems and everything, why did you get that, do you think? Did you stop taking the sodium or?
I hadn't planned for sodium, actually.
At all?
Okay. I believe that the energy drinks that I had brought, and I had bought chips from the store.
Yeah.
That they had the salt I needed.
Okay. So you didn't really think it was going to be such an issue, but like you said, 20 degrees it's enough to get you sweating, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, and I'd really underestimated how much I'm actually sweating. Yeah.
I mean, Simon Holvik, I've been watching a video this morning. He's in Badwater. He's ready for Badwater, and he's posting that it's 50 degrees. in that race.
Yeah,
And
that's,
yeah, I mean, I've just been in Greece and I was running in it was 35 degrees on my watch, but it was 40 degrees. It was with the humidity and everything, and I couldn't even run 5k. I had to walk. My heart rate was 150. I couldn't even. So how people are going to do an ultra 135 mile race at 50 degrees centigrade, it just blows my mind. I don't know how it's possible. I think you're going to get in a lot of medical situations unless you're drinking 4 litres an hour or something crazy.
yeah, because I'm probably, like you have only been probably up to 35 degrees.
Yeah.
And that's maybe 10k.
Yeah.
And then it stops.
Yeah, I mean, you are. It's like you've run. I mean, your body's not hurting after it, but you just it drains you in a way that's just you can't really explain it. And to run 50 in 50 degrees just is almost bordering on having to drink 4 litres an hour. How do you carry that?
No,
How do you refuel that every hour? You know, that's what I'm thinking logistical wise. How are you?
I guess he has a support car.
Yeah, there's a support. Yeah, they have a support crew
But I
and a
guess
support
they
team,
have-
but there's going to be parts where it's not. You're not going to be able to get it. It has to be.
I guess there is support that you can only make certain pit stops.
But it's going to be interesting to follow that race. That's something you'd think about, one of these big ultras in the States? Or?
Yeah, it would be interesting just to, because at some point, perhaps even next year, it wouldn't be interesting anymore to be running in a circle. Because if I'm gonna spend a whole weekend on the road just running, then I want to see something.
Yeah.
Have an experience, travel.
From previous podcasts, I'm obviously a big advocate for Sandnes race. Jim does. Yeah, it's a great event. So shout out to Jim for the Sandnes Ultra Trail. I'm doing that race next year, 100 miles. Yeah, I ran 10 or 11k today after swimming. It was hot and I was pretty knackered, and I was thinking, I've just ran 6 miles and now how the hell do you run 100? But that's the beauty of it, this game that we're in. You know, it's like the challenge of it. You have a bad 10k and you think, oh my god, I'm going to run 50k, and you just find a way to do it.
It's extremely hard to explain it. That because I think the most interesting distance is 100k.
Yeah.
Because you can still run it, not just jog it. And then you can do it, and then for the rest of the year, you will still think it's impossible, even if you have kind of evidence in front of you. You can look at the race time and you would say, no, I didn't do it.
When was your first ultra then? What was the first race that you went into?
It was 2 years ago.
Okay, so you're relatively late coming to the ultra.
Yeah, I did a couple of marathons.
Okay.
And then I just decided to do 50k.
Okay.
And yeah, did it in 5 hours. It was in Oslo, and yeah, it's not the worst experience I ever had, but yeah, I did the first 25k, no problem, and then I get stomach issues for 25 kilometers. So
this is the thing with this. This is the thing with ultra running, and I've done one ultra race. I'm the absolute greenhorn that you can get, but I just love it. And you can't plan for anything. You can plan for everything, but you can't plan for it, because you can make your plans, and then after so many kilometers something's going to happen. You've got to adapt to it. And I think that the real skill of it is actually overcoming things that a marathon, when you do a marathon, you pretty much know that you can just go all out, and that's the beauty of the marathon distance. You can go all out, finish the marathon, and if you don't have water for 20 Ks of it, you don't have water. You know you're going to get in within hours, a couple of hours.
Yeah.
When you get into this ultra game, you know, if you're 20k into a 100k and you don't have water for the next whatever 30k, that has a massive impact on it, and it's overcoming all these hurdles, and that's without competing against other people and trying to race a position, which I will never do. I will never be interested in position. I'm only interested in finishing. But I know yourself, your level, you will be fighting that plus fighting the position.
Yeah, but it's not that. Of course, you want to win a position, but in the end, at some point you don't care about the position, and you know you have to do your own race. Like some people have different tactics. They starting faster, and you just have to stick to your own plan. Are
you big on that? You running it for yourself and just to finish, just for the journey?
When I was doing a 24k, I had a guy running up next to me. We were
24 hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably talking for 15 minutes, and every second of it, I wanted him to go away.
Yeah.
Because my head was kind of a small, the rest of my head was saying you should stop, and then you have this small bubble that says, okay, take another step. Okay, if you pass that 3, then you get next to the sports station, and then you get something to drink, and then that small part of your brain has to concentrate on talking to another person you barely know, and you probably never meet again.
It's a waste of calories.
Yeah.
A waste of brain cells, basically. Yeah, I mean, in the race I did, I actually enjoyed talking with people because it was such a long. For me, it was a really long race. For some, it was 13 hours. For me, it was 25 hours or whatever it was. And actually, it gave me a lift to speak to people. And I'm sure the 100-mile race will be the same when I'm going for 48 hours. I'll almost be socially, wanting just because talking to someone for an hour will just pass you by, make the kilometers go. For me.
And actually knowing that there is somebody there out there with you.
Yeah, going through the same shit. And then all the time you're thinking, what in the God's name am I doing this for? And you have no answers for it. But then when you finish, then you have all the answers. Then you know.
But my experience when you're doing such races, you talk to people, why are you doing this? And nobody has a good answer.
No.
Everybody's saying, I just want to give up, and then you just keep on going.
The answer is when you finish. It's as simple as that. Again, there's a journey after you finish these races. You have the euphoria of a couple of hours after the race and it's finished. You have this euphoric high, and then you sink badly after that. You experience the same thing?
Yeah. But mostly for shorter distances, like a marathon or... no, that's not true. I've had it after 100k as well.
Okay.
Then...
Like a lull afterwards.
Yeah. When the body just shuts down, sort of. Realizes that it doesn't need to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Just relax.
It's funny because I remember after, with myself, I was like, I'm never doing this again, ever. Sent messages to the groups if I try and do this again, so everybody has to stop me. That was in the day after, and then 2 days later, I booked the race again for double the distance, and my wife Nicola is saying, you have a problem. What the hell is wrong with you? Yesterday you were never doing anything like this, and now you're booking the race again. You just can't explain it. It's it's a drug almost, I guess. The feelings you get are probably subconscious, and something that you can't live without. But one interesting thing I want to talk to you about is not so much we spoke a bit about the races there and competing, almost like how I think about a band would have the high of a gig, let's say.
Yeah.
But they might have spent 2 years writing songs, rehearsing songs, and then the gig is one thing that you see. But for me, it's the journey to that point. So how important generally is, as a lifestyle, let's say, is perpetually training for these races? You think about something like that?
Well, it's the easiest way to explain this is to kind of the feeling I have when I stop. Then it just kind of feels pointless.
Life.
Yeah, sort of, because you need to fill it with something.
Yeah.
And I don't have anything to build or anything to.
It's like that meme, isn't it? Where like they show a picture of a lazy fat guy on a couch, and it's like how I feel when I don't run for one day, or cycle for one day, or go to the gym one day, or go swimming for one day. It's like you get into this. For me, it's like about momentum, and I tried to talk about this. It's like once you have the momentum, it's hard to stop the momentum. You almost feel like you're not letting yourself down, but you don't want to lose that momentum. You don't want to take 3 days and just do nothing for 3 days. You almost feel like that momentum's gone.
Yeah,
that's how
exactly.
I feel.
It's, for me, I feel restless.
Yeah.
And I would whenever I'm thinking that if I'm doing 3 hours training in the afternoon, I was thinking when I get back home, how nice life would be if I had time in the afternoon to do cooking and cleaning and so on. And when I actually do it, then I realize I'm doing shit all.
Yeah.
And I'm actually more efficient if I'm exhausted, or not exhausted, but got out the excess energy.
I mean, you're 10 years younger than me, give or take, and like I grew up, especially in the 90s, where ADHD, not autism, is something different, but specifically ADHD, that didn't exist in the 90s. I don't know if your generation, you're a bit younger than me, will remember this, but ADHD when I grew up was just naughty kids. People didn't understand that these kids that had this naughtiness were just like bundles of energy that had nowhere to channel it. And now we call it ADHD, which is fine, but it's like I probably have a bit of it, because I can get a bit like that, where I'm like restless, I'm twiddling my thumbs, I'm where do I pick up a guitar, I'm playing the guitar, come in the kitchen, I'm like, I'm up. Some days I'm like that. I go running, and that's just my choice, or cycling or running. I come back, and then I'm okay. I'm like, I've put the energy out, and now I can focus a bit more, or I can just chill out, watch YouTube, and I don't feel guilt. I don't feel like I'm being lazy about it. I have to just get something out to do it,
Yeah. I don't feel like I don't have it. ADHD. I'm quite certain. I just like running.
I think you're just too cool for school, to be honest, with where that goes.
But I mean, I think people are meant to be in motion, to 100%. Spend their energy. It's not 100%. Natural to sit on a chair or sit on the couch.
100%. I mean, everybody's their own person, I totally I don't want to. It's difficult not to sort of like be a virtue signaler, a virtue signaling, as I say. You know, once you get into something you're passionate about, be it running, cycling, swimming, art, painting, or whatever. You know, once you get something you love, you want to spread the word about it because you love it so much. And I find I just have to be a bit tempered in not being too overly like, why you do this, why do you do that. I've kind of learned with age that, you just have to kind of let people find their own joy, what they want to do. You can't push everything onto everybody. But it's great when you meet somebody like yourself. We go running, and there's a good community here where we live of runners that you can just tap into it straight away, and you find somebody and you're away. And I think it's important in when you find that people who kind of, I think, what's the marathon? Is it not Kipchoge? He sadly died. The other guy.
I think it's Kipchoge. That's
which is who sadly died.
No, he died recently. Don't quote me on it.
No. But he said the most important thing about running is finding a group and making it a social event, because then you will just,
Yeah.
I run a lot with Michael. He's just turn up, right, we'll run. And I think it's important that whatever you do, not necessarily running, but that you have some social aspects of it, because if you're truly alone, it can be a little bit, I don't want to say psychopathic, but it can be almost like not the longevity's not there, if you know what I mean. I think it's important you have partners and people who are driving you on. And one really good example really is I ran the half marathon last Christmas, and we have a mutual friend, Annetta. Well, she's your friend, not mine, but I know of her. And I was tootling along in this marathon very happily, 6 minutes 30, and it's a very slow group. And then Annette joined. And then you see the group is splitting away. She's running a lot faster, which is fine. And I was thinking, for God's sake, I'm not going to be able to keep up with this. And for a split second, I was a little bit annoyed because this group's going to run away. And then I actually started thinking, hang on a minute, this is going to make me a better runner. So this is perfect, because she is forcing me to run a little bit faster.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a professional runner, Norwegian champion, brilliant. So I switched my mindset from being initially a little bit pissed off because the group's going to split out and I can't keep up because I'm lesser of a runner, to no, this is exactly what I want. I need this to push me to the next level. This is exactly what I need. And I was like, and it's just an example of to switch a mindset from where you think you are to where you need to go.
Yeah, and it's a bit funny because I was also afraid to join a running group. Only joined a running group perhaps 2 years ago. Okay. Because I was always believing that I was going to be the slowest in the group.
Because Annette, you run with Annette, and
yeah.
Just give a bit of history about Annette and what she's achieved, because she's seriously probably one of the top runners in Norway, both male and female. Yeah.
So she's the one that got me into these backyard 24-hour races. She has I don't know how many of them she has done, but she has been participating both in Hull and in Bislett. So that's when you're running in a basement for 24 hours. Yeah. And I think she's won most of them for the last couple of years, and also represented Norway in the World Championship last year. Yeah. Amazing runner, amazing person. So she's a great example, really, of somebody who's probably taken you to the next level. Yeah, I would have done ultra races even if I hadn't known her, but I wouldn't have taking that step, because you can read in the newspapers and the sports magazines about these people that run 24 hours or 100k, and you think that they're at a completely different level. Some of them are, but when you first show up there, you just realize that they're just regular folks like yourself. They do an 8 to 4 job and run some in the afternoon, and once a year they do something crazy.
And also when you sort of meet these people, you that's a good point, really. Like, you can be in awe, and you can kind of think, oh, you know, how am I going to keep up? You know, and I'm going to look like an idiot, and you have all this like imposter syndrome type feelings about it. But then when you actually meet these people, they're just great people who want you to be better, and they will slow down a bit for you, they will help you, they will push you, they will, and before you know it, after, you know, a few months, you're probably, you know, running with them kind of thing, and you don't feel that imposter syndrome anymore, and you're part of the team and part of the crew. Yeah,
because at some point you just fit in, and you have caught up to everybody else, and it's not because that fear I had of being left behind, it's not there. People wait on you.
And that actually leads into a really good thing about participation. I mean, we both play for the rugby team here, and the amount of people that if they just came to one rugby training, they would become rugby players. It's that first training.
Or it's at least the first month. When you it's doing something and not thinking about it. You know, it's like, it's saying, I'm gonna get myself in shape. Everybody says it in the head, I've got to get myself in shape, blah blah blah, or whatever. I'm gonna get fitter, or I'm in my 40s now, and I'm gonna get myself back in. And it's 99% they never do it. It's putting your shoes on, going out the door, and doing it. And I use rugby as the example because I've spoke to so many people who are made for the game, who are not doing anything, and I'm saying, just come to training. Trust me, when you come, you will join, and you'll love it. Yeah, I'll be there, and they never come, and it's like, it amazes me, but I understand it, because it's that worry that, am I going to get hit? Am I going to not, am I going to pass the ball correctly? And you can just worry about a million things, or you can just say, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to go and whatever, get through it, and then the next time's a little bit better, the next time's better, and then before you know it, after 10 trainings, you're just one of the players, and you don't look any different, and that is so important, just not worrying about your image, what you look like, how you run, how you whatever, just go and do it. And I've said on previous podcasts, I've seen there's a girl that I see, a woman, whatever, she's dragging a tyre around Vangen, the lake where we live. She's dragging a tyre around. She's not in the best of shape, but she's dragging a tyre around. She's fucking doing something. She's not bothered if people look at her and say, what is this plonker doing dragging a tyre around? She don't care. That's the best. I'm like, hats off. To me, that's amazing, because once you lose that fear of worrying about what people think about you, you're just free to do anything. Yeah.
Yeah. But okay, when's your next race, mate?
I'm not sure yet.
No.
I might do 5k in Bergen beginning of August.
Yeah.
Except for that, I might go to Trondheim.
Okay.
In September to do a marathon or a half marathon, depends a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I forgot. I think it's on the 10th of August. I'm gonna do Stranda. It's that's actually, it's not an ultra, it's a 25k this time.
Yeah.
But on trail.
Okay.
For once.
Yeah.
And then I guess there are some local races and Karmøy Marathon at some point.
Yeah. Karmøy Marathon's a good race. I did that last year. I enjoyed it. Well organised, and that's a nice route. I like the route of that.
They're good. I want to do the marathon. If I'm going to do it, I want to do the marathon this year.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the few races where you don't have to run the half marathon twice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really good route, and I probably won't do it, the Karmøy Marathon this year, because there's a few of us who are doing the 100-mile Sandnes who are doing a 50-mile of the first half of the Sandnes over a weekend. So I will probably sacrifice the Karmøy Marathon to do the first half of the Sandnes Ultra as a training, which I think is going to be more beneficial. For me, running a marathon is not going to be that beneficial when you're training for something like the Sandnes Ultra Trail, which is the demonic, mountainous, I think the 100 miler, I think it's 7,000 or 8,000 meters of ascent, which is the same as Everest, more or less. I stand corrected on that, but I think it's something like that. So it's a serious race. So running a marathon is almost like it's a nice race to do to sort of like overcome blisters and things, because I suffer with those. So it's good to sort of mentally, I'd run it to sort of get myself through what it's like with blisters and things. That's how I'd kind of see it. But it's a good race. It's a really good race, and but you've got to do Sandnes, man. I keep telling you, the 50-mile.
Fine, I'll sign up.
The 50-mile race. I think, honestly, mate, if I was a bookie, you'd be up there, mate. Honestly, Alan Hovde is a professional athlete, great bloke. He's right up there. Now I would put you right up there with him, mate. Honestly, I'm telling you.
Okay, then
the 50 mile first, because after 50 miles, then it's you 100 mile, and then it's
planning. I don't like planning.
It's a little, it's planning and a bit more logistical things, and but the 50 mile, you just get your sodium right, get your fuel right, and you've got a good chance in that race, honestly. If I wasn't running that, I'd be there for you as a support. But I'm a big cheerleader of that race. It's really good. Also, I've been looking as well at some races in the UK, which I think we could look at. The Spine.
Yeah, because across the, what's in Apennines?
There's a couple. So there's the Dragon's Back over Wales, which would be really good, and then there's the Spine race. It's quite expensive compared to what we're used to, but you have the Northern Spine, the Southern Spine, which are sort of I think they're 160 miles, and then there's a 300 mile. So you have the North and South Spine. So I would look at the North Spine race, 165 miles, I think. That would be a good race. I was actually thinking before I got there today, probably 2 weeks ago, because
It's almost exactly 1 month since I ran the Hell race, and then you get thinking what you're gonna do next. And I was thinking, okay, Steven, he has a lot of crazy ideas, so let's listen to Steven for once.
Yeah, but we can logistically we can go together, and then when we race, you can run off. I'll walk behind you a few days, and then you finish on the Thursday. You just have to wait 2 days for me to finish, and we can have a beer, and then we can fly back. But I think we should look at that. But how were you the week after Hell? I was amazed because you came to fucking rugby training 3 days after you'd just done this 24-hour race.
That was the shittiest training I've ever done.
Yeah, probably not your best training I've ever seen. But as a coach, I want to put something across that I don't really care what you do in that training from a coach's perspective. The fact that you came to the training, did everything, that means more to a team dynamic than it does by you not coming, because that's showing to other people. And from a coaching perspective, I can say Ramn has just run 24 fucking hours and he's at training. What's your excuses for not coming to training? Oh, I didn't feel up for it. It was raining, it was cold, it was this, it was that. So that's like a coach's dream in a way. If you drop a ball, you miss a tackle, you mistime something, you're offside, you da-da-da-da-da, that doesn't matter. As a coach, or for myself, I'm not in, that means nothing to me. Why would a coach can call you out on something like that in our setting? You understand me? So that I go away from that and come home and say to my wife, I said, fucking Ramn was at training, it's fucking unbelievable. Do you know what, do you get that kind of?
I had that. Most of all, I just want, because I had been sitting doing nothing. I had gone for some walks.
Yeah.
For 3 days, and then I decided I need to prove to myself that I can get back into the game. So I'll show up to training, and if Steven says get off the field, you need to rest, then I'll do it. But if he doesn't say anything, I'll just.
You're a big boy. You know what you.
Yeah, I knew that I could take it.
Yeah. I mean,
I was just tired, not.
We're not the Springboks. But it means more. Yeah, it means more to me when we have characters like yourself. And from a coaching perspective, we're an amateur rugby club. You know, we're not playing for the World Cup, but we try to do everything as professionally as we can, and I demand only effort. People drop balls, miss catches, that's no problem. I only demand effort. That's it. Just come, it's an hour and a half, you give 100%. If you go away from that thinking you gave it, then that's all you ever ask for in that environment. And it's important that is the minimum, and people like yourself in our team. There's many others, we can name them. There's many others who are the same, and it's important when you have a team, in a team sport, that you're looking around, or I'm certainly looking around thinking, this guy's putting his body on the line, I've got to put my body on the line. That's kind of how I see it. Running in the races you do is a very individual sport where you have to find that energy yourself. It's interesting. But how's your summer gone?
This summer is a bit. It's kind of fortunate that I ran the race.
Yeah.
Because then I had time to recover. Because I've spent most of my summer working, trying to finish a project at work.
Yeah.
And so a lot of overtime. So then it's okay to say if I'm gonna wanna do half the training anyways, then I can just make some extra bucks to.
How do you balance the? You're a very good, almost bordering on semi-professional athlete, runner, ultra runner. How do you balance that against you have a 9-to-5 job? Is there a part of you that's like, could I do it? Could I be a full-time professional athlete? And do you ever think about that, or are you almost settled with how you are with your job and you like just training around it? Or is there a little bit, because if I was you, there's a little bit in me that would be like,
I think, like, first of all, the sport I'm doing is so niche.
yeah, it's not well paid. Yeah, it's niche, it's not well paid. It's, yeah.
And it would require, it's almost a full-time job just to do the social media. And
Yeah.
I just don't like it. It's more fun for me to sit reading emails than it is to.
Yeah. But I suppose if you're happy with it, but yeah, I'm just a bit like, if I was you, I'm just thinking it as from me. If I was you, that's all I'm thinking.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be like, I'm sat on a little gold mine, knowing what I know now. Maybe at 30, maybe I wouldn't know this. This is what I'm trying to say to you. This is why I wanted to talk with you on here, because it's like, I see what your potential is, and if you're happy with with what you have now, that's perfect. But I kind of want to shout you out, you know. So it's like, I see like a little nugget that I think, but you know,
We can give it a try to see if you can get out what you see in me. And yeah, I think I can manage to do it without making a big gamble of quitting my day job.
yeah, because I mean, like I think about like Simon Holvik, for example. He had a 9-to-5 job, and then he decided, you know, he was going to give it a go full time. And I don't know the financials of it and all that kind of thing, but it's just something like that's interesting for me, in that, you know, you have one life, soon passes you by quickly. You know, before you know it, you're 41 and thinking, Jesus Christ, what happened in my 20s? I don't remember my 20s at all. I remember the second half of my 30s, and I know where I am now. But it's like, you know, it's, once you get to this age, you kind of take things or see things a little differently in the world, you know. So, yeah, but Ram, we're going to wrap it up there, mate. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for inviting me.
Really appreciate it. And unfortunately, you don't have any social media, so I can't put any links into anything. I will only say that I will keep plugging your achievements and spreading the word. And people in Norway, they already know who you are, so you don't need to worry about that. Maybe one day, UTMB or something like that, you'll be up there with Killian. Maybe he needs some company, I guess. Brilliant. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. Catch you soon.
Thanks. See you.